What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Bookmarked. I'm your hostess, SherrysJoy. I am half of the DigiKast, and I read Daughters of the Lake by Wendy Webb. This book, wow, man. I read this book on my Kindle, and I actually got this as a reward for my reading. Those of you who aren't familiar, I'm gonna tell you really quickly. So your Kindle rewards are for reading. The more you read, the more rewards you get, or the more bookmarks you get. And they're like achievements. So I have a streak currently going. I think I'm on 78 weeks and 170 days. So I have the avid reader achievement, and I get daily rewards, right? And I get weekly rewards and monthly rewards. So sometimes I get free books, sometimes I get like dollar book, 99-cent books, and just all these other things. So this book I actually received at no cost for me. For my reward, I was able to pick one out of, I think, maybe 10 books. And this one stood out to me. And the reason why is because it is like, I don't want to say historical fiction, but it's like a flashback, and it flashes back and it flashes forward. So it honestly, the synopsis read to me like the movie Dead Again with Matt Broninoff, if that's how you pronounce it. But it's nothing like that movie. Absolutely nothing like that movie. So this book starts off in the present day. We are in the Great Lakes area. So like Midwest, Michigan to be exact, honestly. And the main character is a female. Her name is Kate. And she's a journalist. She's an entertainment journalist. So she writes about like entertaining things. I don't know, use your imagination. And that has nothing to do with the plot, but that's what she is. So she is recently separated from her cheating husband named Kevin. And she goes to her parents' house who live on the lake. And she's been having like these dreams. And they're like very vivid about this female and her husband. And so the book starts with her father. He's on the lake, and a body washes up on the shore. And it is, she's this lovely woman. She's got long auburn hair, violet eyes. I've never heard of anyone having violet eyes, but maybe that's a thing. So it's like, oh, who is this mystery woman? And, so Kate comes running out of the house because she sees what's happening out the window, and she recognizes the female. She starts screaming like at the top of her lungs, like, ah! And then she runs over to the woman, and she's like, she unravels something, and there's an infant. So the woman is holding an infant with her. It looks like she passed away holding a baby. Right? So it's like, well, who is this mystery woman? So because of Kate's reaction, she actually becomes like a suspect, but the police officer in the town is a close friend of her dad's and the family. And so he doesn't feel right, or he feels like he might be too close for comfort. He might be a conflict of interest to the investigation. So he gives he calls the next town over, which is Wharton, and he contacts the officer there. His name is Nick Stone, the detective there, and he asks him to kind of like take over the case because he's, conflict of interest. So Nick takes over the case. So Kate meets Nick, and they're like really trying to figure out like, well, why did you freak out? Why do you know this woman? Why do you, you seem, very suspicious. What's happening? So she's like, I can't explain it, but she's been having these dreams, and she has been seeing this woman in her dreams. So the flashback part of this movie takes place from 1889. I love it. through 1910. And there we follow, for a little bit, we follow Marie Cassatt, her husband Marcus, and they have a daughter named Addie. And Addie was actually born in the water, but they thought that she had died. And so this little boy, he was 5 years old, his name is Jess Stewart, he saw this like thing in the water and he realized it's a baby. So he ran and he told his parents, there's a body in the water. Parents were like, what? And I don't believe you. What kind of body? Like, what do you mean? And so they run out and I'm like, my child tells me there's a body in the water. Last thing I'm gonna ask is what kind? I mean, come on. So they run out to the water and they actually say, oh my gosh, it's like an infant, like a human baby. So they run out and they get this baby, save her. And come to find out, the baby was or is Marie's infant child that she gave birth to in the water. And it's like, well, didn't you know that you gave birth in the water? So Jess feels very close to, the child's name is Addie, feels very close to Addie and very protective. And he just knew at that moment that he needed to protect her for the rest of her life and that he was going to grow up and marry her when he was old enough. He's like, I'm only 5 years old. I'm not quite sure what this means, but this is what's going to actually happen. So as time goes, we travel through like 1905, 06 and all of that. He goes to college, he comes back from college. He does indeed marry Addie. And the story is really about a love story that takes place in the early, in the late to early between 1889 and 1910. Their love story between Addie and Jess and how they lived their life. And then we have another love story building in the present day between Kate and Nick, and how, they're living their life. And then also we're trying to figure out why Kate is having these dreams, these vivid dreams. And her cousin, she goes to visit her cousin, which is in the Wharton, and they actually come from money. Their great grandparents actually left them, their whole estate, which is this big house that they flipped into a bed and breakfast, and there's a ballroom upstairs and everything like that on the third floor, which I thought was really weird. Like, why is there a ballroom on the third floor? But okay. And they, they go up into the attic and they find, all of these things, and they're trying to figure out like what's going on with Kate and what all this mystery is. So this book, I jumped in it. I was inside of the book, like from the first paragraph of the book. I am telling you, this writer, Miss Webb, is very brilliant in her writing. And I just find her writing is lovely. I absolutely love it. I fell in love with this book. I fell in love with the writing of this book. It is a really good romance mystery. I don't think it's like fantasy, but it's also not paranormal. It's more like psychological, I think, like a psychological historical mystery. There you go. Yes, that's it. So I loved it. I absolutely loved this book. I could not get enough of this book. I was up in the middle of the night reading this. I actually finished it this morning, and I thought I finished it this morning, and I woke up, I was so angry, like, this book ended like this on a cliffhanger, like, oh my goodness. But I was dreaming. I dreamt that I finished the book, and it just hit me, and it was so good, and the twists and the turns, and I just didn't even expect what happened to happen. And it's like, why didn't I see this coming? You know why? Because I was engaged with these characters. I was in this book. I was one of these characters. So no, I did not see this coming. I was blindsided by it. Loved it. What did I not like about this book? Jeez. I don't know. I guess I don't like the myth behind it. There is a chapter that kind of talks about the lake and the myth and the mystery behind the lake and the folklore of it, and it made it seem like it's true. So I guess if there's anything I didn't like, it might be that part. And if you want to call anything like paranormal, then maybe that's it. But that's not even that big of a deal. I mean, it was just phenomenal. The book was phenomenal. I highly recommend this book. I obviously give this book a 5, like hands down 5. I cannot wait to read more from this author. I read a little bit about Miss Webb, and she's from the Minnesota area, and she was a journalist. She started off as a journalist, but she said that when she was 11 years old, she first read A Wrinkle in Time when she was 11 years old, which I think a lot of us probably did. I know I did, middle school age. And she knew right then and there she was going to become an author. And let me tell you, I am so glad she decided to make that decision and pick up that book and read it, because oh my goodness, this book was so good. So I appreciate all of you listening to me, and it's like so exciting. I was in the car telling Rob, like, I can't believe this, I mean, it was so good. Right, I was reading in the car. So yes, please, thank you so much for listening and being with me and experiencing my journey along with me. I truly appreciate it. If you know anybody that would enjoy this video or any of the videos that I do or that the DigiKast does, please share the video. If you have any comments or any questions or any recommendations, please let me know. I am so open to that, and I love reading. I enjoy this so much, if you can't tell. I'm SherrysJoy. You can find me on Instagram at BookmarkedSJ. I am on Blue Sky as SherrysJoy. You can find the DigiKast on Facebook, Spotify, Instagram. Obviously, we are on YouTube as the DigiKast. If you search DigiKast 1, if you search DigiKast, but we are coming up in the link as DigiKast 1. And we have a website, a blog, TheDigiKast.substack.com. And again, anything, any comments, anything, please let me know. Thank you all again. Love the world.